welcome to my channel. I'm Angela from artery.co.uk. You may have noticed I'm on a bit of a Crafter's Companion kick at the moment, but that's because their stuff, although quite old, is awesome, and this is no different. Yesterday I showed you how to make envelopes using the enveloper. So if you've already seen that video and you're not bothered about wanting to see how to make envelopes with this, then just skip ahead, feel free, to the box creating section. Now this makes little envelope boxes as well, which I think is really cool, but you may be asking, oh, it embosses them as well, or you can emboss with it, just a little pattern on the front. But you may wonder, what on earth would I use an envelope box for? Well, many things actually. So for instance, supposing you've made a really thick card, like a 3D card or a pop-up card or something similar, you're probably going to need a thicker envelope to package and send it. Perhaps you've made a little, or decorated a little notebook, perhaps you've made a mini album that are too thick for an envelope, and it would be something that could nicely fit in there, and then you could fasten it with Velcro or a belly band or ribbon, or if it's going to be used for a card or something, just put some tape or glue on and send it like that. But you could make a pack of note cards and envelopes and put them in one of the boxes to sell or to give away as a gift. There are lots of things you can do. So what I like about this, now the other one I didn't check properly because I thought it was all in centimetres. I should really have a look at that. But this one seems to be made for the UK and the US. And what I noticed as I was going through it, this is the techniques. The instructions are in the first couple of pages, and then as you keep going, you get your sizing grids. So these are the centimetres. So there are 4 pages of centimetres, and there are 4 pages with inches on, so you can take your pick. It is colour coded. So first of all, you have these white areas which can be made using an A4 card or US letter size. You have these blue areas which can be made with A3 card or 12 by 12. That's another common one. Or these ones here, the yellow ones, require a larger cardstock. If you don't have a larger cardstock, you can always stick 2 pieces together. If you're going to decorate over it, you could put a piece of pattern paper over the join, make it even more pretty. So this is for the flat envelope. Now the sizing grids are to make the envelope boxes at 1/2 inch depth, 3/4 of an inch and 1 inch. We're just going to be doing the 1/4 of an inch. So first of all, we're going to start with the envelope. So I love making envelopes of 4 by 5 inches. It's just my preference. You can obviously use whichever one you like. So you go along to 4 and 5, and where it meets, the top number is the size of the paper you will need squared, so 7 1/4 inch squared, and we're going to be scoring on lines E and G. So I'll show you what that means in a minute. First of all, I need to cut some paper at 7 1/4 inches squared. Let's bring this back over. And now we need to see, so it's 7 1/4 inch squared, scored on E and G. So each letter has to be scored on the opposite side. I'll show you what I mean. So the first one is E. So this is for making your envelopes, and these 3 are for making the different size boxes, or the different depths on your envelope boxes. We said E and G, so we put it in the first one. This is the envelope notch, and we find E, the score line, and we score along there, and then we turn it to the opposite side 180 degrees and score it on E again, and then the next 2 sides or corners have to be scored on G. And you'll know you've done it right when you get a little bit of a triangle in between the score lines. Turn it round, opposite side, and G again. So as you can see, there's about an even size triangle in each one. You don't have to cut these triangles out if you don't want to, because you'll get a decent envelope with that, but I like to do it. And then you can turn it over. Make sure that when you're scoring, the outside of the envelope is the part you score on, the side you score on, because these lumpy bits need to go on the inside. So turn it over and burnish all of the scored sides. There, that's going to fit nicely there. That's your envelope made. What you can do, if you like, you can cut that piece off there if you wanted to, that little triangle, but I like to round the corner of the lid and the bottom. I think it just gives it a little bit of a nicer finish, that's all. You don't have to do that, obviously. And then to put it together, just down the sides of the side flaps. If you make a mistake, like I've just done there, you can use your glue remover to take it off and it vanishes like magic. I love that. And there's your envelope. That's it. Perfect size. So that was easy enough, wasn't it? And to be honest, making the envelope boxes are not much more difficult than that. There is a little bit more cutting and there is some gluing that you'll need to do, but I'm going to show you how to do all that. It's very simple really, because with any box there's going to be gluing and cutting needs to be done. Right, I am going to make a box now. I'm going to actually use the centimetre one, and I did forget to mention that across the top is the width and down the side at the left here is the length. So I've got an A4 size of cardstock. This is beautiful cardstock from Sizzix. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll try and leave a link to it in the description. And because it's an A4 size, we want to look, the colour code here says we should be looking in this area here with the white. So I thought what I would do is make a 13 by 10 centimetre box. So the paper I need needs to be 192 millimetres squared. I shall do that now. Right, now if we see here, it needs to be scored on D and F. So it's almost the same as the envelope with just one extra step. So the first one was D. So we put the first corner in there, and then you move it up one, because I forgot to mention we're doing the first one here is the 12 millimetre, because there's 18 millimetre and 24 millimetre. We're just doing the 12, which is the first notch above the envelope notch. So we go there and we score it again on D. And then we turn it round to the opposite side and do the same again. Score on D. This is really thick paper. And then we turn around and do the other two sides on F. And there we are. Now before we do anything else, these tiny little triangles, there are 8 of them, these have to be snipped out, these tiny little bits there. It's harder to do this with a thicker paper, but just snip them the best you can. Now we turn it over and we start burnishing all of those score marks. If you look along these edges here, there are 4 parts there, kind of triangle bits, and each has a long score mark there, or longish, up to the second score line. We need to cut along there on all 4 sides. Okay, so the box is going to look something like that. But before we start, decide which is going to be the bottom, because the bottom part is going to have sticky tape on these sides here. So I'll do that now. You don't have to use tape, you can use glue if you want to try it. I just find it easier to use tape. Right, so these bits that we've cut out at the bottom there, you fold those over like that. You can see they've been folded over at either side. We need to put glue on there and then fold it so it sticks like that. I'm going to use Barely Art Precision Craft Glue. It's lovely and it dries quickly as well. So first of all, put the glue on there. I hope you can see that. And then bring it over to there and hold it until it dries. Right, full disclosure, because of the paper that I'm using, it's very, very smooth and shiny on that side. The glue I used didn't work, that's why it looks a bit of a mess there. So I got out my hot glue gun and that does seem to be working. So I'm thinking you could, if you don't have a hot glue gun, maybe you could just put tape on it. But I'm just using my hot glue gun carefully. Because it is hot, as the name suggests. So this box is going to be a little bit of a mess, it looks like, because of the glue debacle. But at least you'll get the idea, even if it's only the idea of what not to do. Never mind, that seems to have worked okay anyway. That hot glue is good stuff. Right, so now what you have to do, I'm going to sort of tuck that in. Now this is quite tricky as well. I should perhaps have used glue for that, because that actually is a bit too wide. But never mind, I'm going to take it off and show you what to do anyway. So this is the tricky part, because you have to get these sides straight. So I'm going to do that the best I can and try and get that as straight as I can. We can get rid of that with the glue remover, no problem. But that seems quite straight there. Doesn't seem as though there are any issues. I'll see if I can do the same with this side. I don't think I'll be using this paper for doing stuff like this anymore. Oh dear, right, so need to make sure that is straight. We'll know because when we tuck those bits in, those flaps at the top, that should sit over nicely, which it is doing, thank goodness. So that's how you make Envelobox. So what you can do to just ignore those bits of sticky tape down there. I'm going to use glue remover to get those off. That's how you do it anyway, and despite how I've made it look, it is easy to make envelope boxes. And there's a bigger one that I made. That's about the best one I think that made really well. And I'm just, in this one I'm just keeping my customer thank you cards, just a few in there. This one, just a few card panels that I'm going to mess around with later. So it's just handy even just for keeping for yourself, just to put things in, and then you can write on the front what they are. If you want to do a little bit of embossing, if you see these shapes here, they have little triangles, so you can decide which one you want to use. I quite like this one, and you can see that the triangle is facing that way. This is the side of the score tool that you want to use. I don't know if you can see that there. So you put that on and you measure it up, you line it up against those lines, and then it is a bit awkward because you have to sort of try and feel where the I think I'm going to have to tape that down actually. Yeah, you can see it's taken shape anyway. So just as long as it's between those lines accurately, you should be able to get a half decent emboss anyway. I'm not going to do it all because this paper is one of the thickest papers I've ever used and it's taken some getting through. So it's just to show you that you can do a little, there's 4 emboss patterns that you can use there to make your cards like quite pretty. So despite how I have made it look there, this is not difficult to use. It is not difficult to put together. You just have to make sure these sides are straight, so it's not going to bump up or pull out like that. So anyway, I hope that was useful. If you have any comments or suggestions, I would be very interested to hear them. In the meantime, have a wonderful day. Bye bye now.